The marble lobby of Aurelius Tower felt like it was closing in on me, which was ridiculous considering the ceiling stretched 3 stories high. My heels clicked too loud against the floor, each step announcing my presence when all I wanted was to disappear. 20 feet to the elevators. My phone buzzed again. Marcus. 3rd call in 5 minutes. I didn't look back, but I felt him. That awareness you develop when someone's been watching you too closely for too long. The hair on my neck stood up the way it used to when I'd leave dough to proof and come back to find it had collapsed. Something wrong I couldn't see yet, but knew was coming. 15 feet. Celeste. His voice cut through the lobby's hushed murmur of money and power. Not loud. Marcus never needed to be loud. That was the thing people didn't understand about him. The control looked like calm until you realized it was a noose. 10 feet. My hand was already reaching for the elevator call button when I heard his footsteps quicken. The accounting firm I'd just left was on the 42nd floor. I had a flash of bitter irony. Spent 2 hours trying to explain suspicious wire transfers in their books, and here I was, running from the man who'd taught me what red flags look like in a relationship. 5 feet. We need to talk. Closer now. Too close. The elevator chimed. Doors slid open. I lunged forward and collided with a wall. Except walls didn't have heartbeats, didn't smell like sandalwood and something darker I couldn't name, didn't have hands that caught my elbows before I could stumble back. Easy. 1 word. Low and controlled, with an edge that made me look up instead of mumbling an apology and ducking past. The man in the elevator wasn't supposed to exist outside of crime dramas. That was my first stupid thought. Sharp suit that probably cost more than my rent, dark hair cut with the kind of precision that spoke of standing appointments, and eyes that assessed me in the space between heartbeats, cataloging, calculating, deciding. He was still holding my elbows. I'm sorry, Celeste, what the hell? Marcus's hand clamped on my shoulder, spinning me around. I yanked free. Don't. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. His smile was the one that used to work, back when I thought intensity meant passion instead of possession. You can't keep avoiding me. Watch me. I turned back to the elevator. The man inside hadn't moved, hadn't let go of my arms either, I realized. His attention had shifted from me to Marcus, and something in his expression changed. Not his face. That stayed carefully neutral, but the air around him seemed to drop 10 degrees. The lady appears to be leaving, he said. Marcus's fingers dug into my shoulder again. This is a private conversation. Elevator's public. The man's voice stayed level, almost bored. She can ride up with me, or you can wait for the next one. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. I watched Marcus's jaw work, that muscle under his left ear twitching the way it did when someone told him no. My former boss at the accounting firm had that same tell. I'd learned to read the warning signs. The man in the elevator seemed to be reading them too. Your choice, he said, looking at me now. Not at Marcus. At me. I stepped into the elevator. Marcus lunged forward. The man's hand left my elbow and caught Marcus's wrist mid-reach. I didn't see him move. One moment his hands were on me, steadying. The next, Marcus was frozen in the doorway, face going red. Next one, the man said. He released Marcus's wrist and pressed a button. The doors slid shut on Marcus's furious face. My knees wanted to give out. I locked them, pressing back against the elevator wall, and tried to remember how to breathe like a normal person instead of someone whose heart was trying to escape through her throat. Thank you, I managed. I'm sorry about... He's not usually... Yes, he is. I looked up sharply. The man had moved to the control panel, one hand resting near the buttons, the other in his pocket. Relaxed, like he hadn't just physically removed someone from an elevator without breaking a sweat. You don't know him, I said. I know the type. He glanced at me, and I caught the full weight of those eyes for the first time. Gray. Storm cloud gray. The kind that made you check if it was going to rain. How long has he been following you? My mouth opened, closed. I don't. 3 weeks? Month? How did you? You knew he was there before you saw him. Checked your phone 3 times while walking. Didn't look back because you were afraid of what you'd see. He said it like he was reading a grocery list. So, how long? 6 weeks. The words came out before I could stop them. Since I broke up with him. And before that, how long were you together? Why does it matter? Because I'm deciding something. The elevator climbed, past the 10th floor. 15th. I should have pressed a button. Any button. I hadn't pressed anything. 18 months, I said finally. Together, 18 months. He didn't like it when I stopped. Why was I telling this to a stranger? It doesn't matter. I ended it. He needs to accept that. Men like him don't accept that. 20th floor, 25th. We were still climbing. You pressed penthouse, I said, noticing for the first time. I need to get off. Where's your car? Subway. I take the. He's waiting in the lobby. My stomach dropped. You don't know that. If he's smart, he's waiting. If he's desperate, he's already heading down to street level to catch you there. The man's attention stayed on the floor numbers. Which is he? Smart or desperate? Both, I thought. Marcus was both, and that was the problem. The elevator slowed. 35th floor. Stopped. What are you? You're a forensic accountant. Not a question. I stared at him. How do you know that? The firm on 42. You were carrying a laptop bag with their logo. They don't let non-employees use branded materials. He finally turned to face me fully. And you have the look. The look? Like you notice things that don't add up. Something that might have been amusement flickered in his eyes. I appreciate that quality. The elevator wasn't moving. We hung there, suspended between floors, and I became aware of how small the space was. How there was nowhere to look that wasn't him. You didn't press a button, I said. We're just stopped. I'm thinking. About what? Whether I'm going to help you. My heart kicked against my ribs. I don't need help. You needed help 30 seconds ago when I kept him from following you into this elevator. He tilted his head slightly, studying me. Your ex-boyfriend, Marcus, investment banker at Sterling and Cross, specializes in high-net-worth portfolios, recently started showing up in places he shouldn't. The air left my lungs. Who are you? Someone who knows things. He paused, including what Marcus is about to do. What does that mean? His phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his expression went completely flat. When he looked up at me, I saw something that made my mouth go dry. It means, he said quietly, that we have approximately 8 minutes before this building needs to be evacuated. What? Marcus didn't come here to talk to you, Celeste. He was already moving, fingers flying across his phone. He came here to make sure you couldn't walk away. The elevator lurched, started descending, fast. What are you talking about? My voice came out higher than I wanted. What did he do? The man looked at me, and for the first time since the doors had opened, I saw something other than careful control in his face. He planted a bomb in the server room, and he's about to trigger it. Welcome back to another Midnight Love Stories. Don't forget to like and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you guys, and subscribe if you've not joined our family yet. You won't want to miss out on the amazing stories we have in store for you. The elevator kept dropping. My brain kept trying to catch up. A bomb. I heard myself say it. You're telling me Marcus planted a bomb. Not telling. Confirming. The man's fingers moved across his phone screen with the kind of speed that came from muscle memory. I've known about it for 20 minutes. 20? I pressed back against the elevator wall, needing something solid. If you knew, why didn't you call the police? Why are we still in this building? Because calling the police means panic. Panic means stampede. Stampede in a building this size means casualties before anyone gets out. He didn't look up from his phone. And because I needed to be sure about something first. Sure about what? Whether you knew. The elevator jolted, stopped. My stomach was somewhere around the 30th floor. Knew that my ex-boyfriend, my investment banker ex-boyfriend, was planning to blow up a building? My voice cracked. Are you insane? Forensic accountant, he said, like that explained everything. You've been investigating someone, following money that doesn't want to be followed. My laptop bag suddenly felt like it weighed 50 pounds. I investigate a lot of. You've been tracking wire transfers through shell companies in the Caymans, following patterns that connect to something bigger. His eyes met mine. Sharp. Too knowing. You found something 6 weeks ago. Something that scared you. That's when you ended it with Marcus. The air conditioning felt too cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do, and so does Marcus. He pocketed his phone and pressed his palm against the elevator panel. Which is why he's trying to destroy evidence. Starting with this building's server room, then your apartment, then you. My apartment? The words barely made it out. Fire department's there now. Electrical fire. Very unfortunate. Everything I owned. Graham's recipe books. The notes for her bakery dream that I'd been trying to piece together. All of it. No. It came out as a whisper. No, he wouldn't. He absolutely would. The question is whether you're going to stand here denying it while he finishes the job, or whether you're going to help me stop him. The elevator started moving again. Up this time. Help you? I don't even know who you are. Riker Valdez. The name hit like cold water. I knew that name. Everyone in the financial sector knew that name, even if it was only whispered. My mouth went dry. The Valdez family, real estate, and other things. Other things. His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. Diplomatic. Illegal things. Sometimes. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who occasionally operates in gray areas. He said it like we were discussing the weather. Right now, I'm the businessman who's going to keep you alive, unless you'd rather take your chances with Marcus. The elevator chimed. Doors opened onto the penthouse level. Come on. He stepped out. I didn't move. Why would you help me? Because Marcus's problem isn't just you. It's me. Riker turned back, one hand holding the elevator door. Those shell companies you found? The money you've been tracking? It leads to my operations. Marcus has been using his clients' accounts to launder money for a rival organization. When you started poking around, you threatened to expose the whole network, including me. My forensics work. The patterns I'd noticed in what should have been straightforward investment portfolios. The way certain transactions always cleared on the same days, in the same amounts, through the same chains of companies. I was investigating fraud, I said. High net worth tax evasion. You were following the thread that would have unraveled everything. For everyone. His expression stayed neutral, but something in his voice shifted. Marcus panicked, tried to control you, failed, and now he's trying to erase the evidence, starting with the firm's records. Your records. You. This is insane. This is business. Riker's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and cursed under his breath. We have 6 minutes. Are you coming, or do I leave you here? I stepped out of the elevator before I could overthink it. His penthouse was all glass and steel and views that probably cost more than I'd make in a lifetime. I didn't look at any of it. I was too busy trying to breathe. Tell me about the bomb, I said. How do you know? How long have you known? I have people watching Marcus. When someone's embezzling from multiple criminal organizations simultaneously, they get attention. Riker moved to a wall of screens, security monitors showing different angles of the building. He brought in a device hidden in a maintenance cart 3 hours ago. Server room, basement level. Set on a timer. Can you stop it? Not physically. Can't reach it in time without setting it off early. His fingers flew across a keyboard. But you can. Me? I'm an accountant, not a... You're a forensic accountant. You think in systems, networks, patterns. He pulled up building schematics on one of the monitors. The bomb's connected to the building's Wi-Fi. Needs to sync with Marcus's phone to confirm detonation. If we can cut the connection, by time, I can get my people to the device. I stared at the complex network diagram, saw the connections, the routers, the backup systems. Cut the Wi-Fi and the building's security goes down, I said. Elevators, fire systems, everything. So we need to isolate just the server room connection, sever it from the main network without triggering the backup protocols. Riker looked at me. Can you do it? My mind was already working through the problem. Network architecture, redundancies, access points. Maybe, I said. If you can get me into the system. He handed me his phone. Already done. I looked at the screen. Full administrative access to the building's network, the kind of access that shouldn't exist outside of the security office. How do you have this? I own the building. Of course he did. 4 minutes, Riker said. My fingers started moving across the screen, finding the server room's network node, tracing its connections, looking for the weak point where I could cut it loose without bringing down the entire system. There. A secondary router. Redundant connection that should have been removed during the last upgrade but wasn't. If I could reroute through that, then loop back and... Got it, I breathed. I can isolate the server room. It'll look like a local equipment failure. The bomb won't get its confirmation signal. Do it. I executed the commands, watched the network topology shift, saw the server room node go dark. Riker's phone lit up with incoming messages. He read them, and something in his shoulders relaxed fractionally. My people are in. They have the device. I sagged against the desk. It's over? The immediate threat is. He pocketed his phone and looked at me. Really looked at me. But Marcus is still out there. Still has access to your work. Still knows what you know. So what do I do? You have 2 choices. Riker's voice was calm, clinical. 1, you go to the police, tell them everything. Spend the next year in protective custody while they build a case. Hope Marcus doesn't reach you first. Hope his employers don't decide you're too much of a liability. My hands were shaking. And 2, you work for me. Work for you. I repeated the words, testing them for hidden traps. With Marcus, there'd always been traps. Doing what? What you're already good at, following money, finding patterns. Riker moved to the windows, hands in his pockets, looking down at the city like he owned it. Maybe he did. I need someone to clean up my operations, make them legitimate. You need protection from the man who just tried to kill you. I don't need... My phone rang. Nina? My best friend. Answer it, Riker said. Speaker. I didn't know why I listened to him. Maybe because the last 20 minutes had shattered every assumption I had about control and safety. Maybe because something in his voice said he already knew what I was about to hear. Nina? Oh, thank God. Her voice was tight with panic. Celeste, where are you? Your apartment. There's fire trucks everywhere. They're saying it started in your unit. Some kind of electrical thing. My legs forgot how to hold me up. I sat down hard on the nearest chair. The whole building's being evacuated, Nina continued. I'm here now. I came as soon as I heard. They won't let anyone in. Celeste, they're saying it's bad. Really bad. Everything. Graham's recipes. Her notes about the bakery she'd planned to open, the one she'd made me promise to try for. The box of her things I kept under my bed because I wasn't ready to sort through them yet. All of it. I'm okay, I heard myself say. I wasn't home. Where are you? I can come get you. I looked at Riker. He was watching me with that same assessing expression from the elevator. Calculating. Deciding something. I'm handling some things. I'll call you back. Celeste, I promise. 1 hour. I ended the call before she could argue. He really did it, I said to the phone in my hand. To the city beyond the windows. To no one. He burned down my apartment. He destroyed evidence. You were just a bonus target. Riker's voice stayed level, factual. The firm's servers are gone too. Small fire, contained to the basement. No casualties. Very professional. Professional. I laughed, and it came out wrong. Broken. He tried to kill me professionally. He tried to eliminate a problem. There's a difference. Not to me. No. Riker agreed. I don't suppose there is. I set my phone down carefully on the glass coffee table. My hands were steadier than they should have been. Shock, probably. The kind that came from having your entire life erased in under an hour. Why? The question came out quiet. Why would Marcus do this? We dated. He said he loved me. Because you found something that threatened people more dangerous than him. And because men like Marcus don't see the difference between love and ownership. Riker turned from the window. You became a liability. Liabilities get eliminated. I need to go to the police. And tell them what? That your ex-boyfriend framed an electrical fire? That he somehow planted a bomb you have no evidence of because it's already been removed. He moved closer, not crowding, just close enough that I had to look up at him. You're a forensic accountant, Celeste. Think it through. What's your proof? I opened my mouth, closed it. Exactly. He sat down across from me, elbows on his knees, hands loosely clasped. Marcus has already covered his tracks. The fires will look accidental. Your investigation files are gone. Even if you could prove something, you'd be dead before you made it to trial. So I just... what? Hide? You leverage. I don't have any leverage. You have knowledge. You've been inside Marcus's operation, even if you didn't know that's what it was. You understand the patterns, the connections. His head tilted slightly. And you have something Marcus's employers want very badly. What? The ability to make their money clean. I stared at him. You want me to help the people who just tried to kill me? I want you to help me. There'll be a side benefit. Riker leaned back, utterly relaxed, like we were discussing a business merger instead of my survival. I'm transitioning my family's operations, moving everything legitimate, real estate, investments, holdings that won't get me federal attention. I need someone who understands both sides, the legal and the less legal, someone who can see the patterns and fix them. You need a money launderer. I need a financial architect. He said it without flinching. Someone smart enough to build systems that don't just avoid scrutiny, they invite it. Someone who can make my empire so clean it shines. And in exchange, protection, resources, housing. He gestured around the penthouse. I have a guest house on the property, secure, private, fully staffed. You stay there, work from there, and Marcus never gets within a mile of you. For how long? 6 months. Enough time to clean up the critical operations and establish legitimate frameworks. After that, you walk away with enough money to start whatever life you want, including that bakery. My head snapped up. How do you... I make it my business to know things about people I'm considering employing. His expression didn't change. Your grandmother's dream. The recipes you've been collecting. The business plan you've been sketching out on weekends. All very thorough, very careful. The idea that he'd been watching me, researching me, should have terrified me. Maybe it did. But under the fear was something else. Something that felt uncomfortably like relief. What if I say no? Then I give you $50,000, a new identity, and a contact for a very good security firm. You disappear. Start over somewhere Marcus can't find you. He paused. But you'll always be running, always looking over your shoulder, and you'll never get that bakery, because running doesn't build dreams, it just extends survival. I thought about Graham's recipe box. Gone now, if it had been in my apartment. All her notes about the perfect croissant, the bread she'd spent 40 years perfecting, the pastries she'd planned to make famous. All of it. Ash. 6 months, I said slowly. And then I'm done. Free and clear. Free and clear. I want it in writing, a contract. Of course. And I want to talk to a lawyer, my lawyer. I'll arrange it. And Nina, my best friend, she can't know where I am, but she needs to know I'm safe. That can be managed. I looked at him. This man who'd appeared in an elevator at exactly the right moment, who owned buildings and had people who could disarm bombs, who knew about my grandmother's recipes and Marcus's crimes and probably 1,000 other things I couldn't begin to guess at. Why me? I asked. You could hire anyone, someone with experience in whatever this is, because you don't have experience in this. Riker stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Which means you're not compromised, not connected to any of the families or organizations or federal investigations. You're clean, and clean is exactly what I need. He held out his hand. 6 months, he said. Help me build something legitimate. In exchange, you get safety, resources, and the capital to start your bakery when we're done. Deal? I looked at his hand, at the man offering me an escape that wasn't really an escape at all, just a different kind of cage, but maybe one with a door that actually opened. I thought about Marcus's face in the elevator, the way he'd grabbed at me like I was property. I thought about Graham, who'd never gotten to open her bakery because she'd spent her life being safe instead of brave. I took Riker's hand. Deal. His grip was warm, firm, the handshake of someone who kept his word. I hoped I hadn't just made the biggest mistake of my life. Do you think she has made the biggest mistake of her life? Drop a comment telling us what you think. I'll be in the comments section. The guest house wasn't a guest house. It was a small palace tucked behind Riker's main residence, connected by a garden path that probably cost more to maintain than my yearly salary. This is temporary, I said, standing in the marble foyer with my borrowed laptop bag and literally nothing else. Of course. The woman who introduced herself as Teresa. Housekeeper, apparently, though she moved like she ran a small country, smiled at me with professional warmth. Mr. Valdez wants you comfortable while you're here. I've stocked the kitchen with basics, but if you need anything specific, just let me know. I looked around at the basics. Marble countertops, professional-grade appliances, a wine fridge that probably held bottles worth more than my car. My former car, which had been parked outside my former apartment. I'll need clothes, I said. Everything I owned. Already handled. There's a selection in your bedroom, all your size. If the style isn't to your taste, we can arrange shopping. How do you know my size? Teresa's smile didn't waver. Mr. Valdez is very thorough. Right, because that wasn't invasive at all. The office is through there. Teresa gestured to a set of French doors. Computer, printer, secure internet connection. Mr. Valdez will brief you on the security protocols. Cell signals blocked unless you're using the approved phone. She handed me a smartphone. Top of the line, sleek, probably worth more than 3 months of my rent. Former rent. Your personal number's been transferred, contacts, everything. You can call anyone you need to, but the calls are routed through a secure system, just in case. In case Marcus tries to track me. Among other things. Teresa's expression shifted, something almost kind breaking through the professional mask. You're safe here, Miss Romano. Mr. Valdez doesn't make promises he can't keep. She left me alone in the guest house that could fit 6 of my old apartments inside it. I walked through the space slowly. Living room with furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Kitchen that made me ache for Graham's recipes. If I had them, I could actually use these ovens. Bedroom with a bed so large I could probably get lost in it. The closet made me stop. Teresa hadn't been kidding about the clothes. Business casual, professional wear, evening dresses I'd never have occasion to use. all in my size, all in colors I actually wore, which meant Riker had been watching me long enough to know I avoided pastels and loved deep jewel tones. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt something closer to resignation. Maybe this was what happened when your ex-boyfriend tried to kill you, and a crime lord offered you protection. Normal terror gave way to numbness. My new phone rang. Nina's contact photo popped up, a picture from last year's Halloween party where she'd dressed as a forensic accountant, supportive, and I'd gone as a vampire. Ironic now. Hey, I answered. Okay, what the hell is happening? Nina didn't bother with pleasantries. I've been calling your old number for an hour. This number's not listed, and you sound weird. I'm fine. You're not fine. Your apartment burned down, and you're calling me from a burner phone like you're in witness protection. Close enough. I can't really explain right now, I said carefully, but I'm somewhere safe, and I have a new job, a really good job with housing included. Housing? Like a company apartment? Something like that. Silence. Then, this is about Marcus, isn't it? I sat down on the bed that could probably sleep a small family. Nina, don't tell me it's fine or make excuses for him. Her voice went tight. I told you 6 weeks ago he was bad news, that the way he watched you wasn't normal, and now your apartment's gone and you're hiding somewhere with a secret phone. I'm not hiding, I'm just being careful. Celeste, please tell me you went to the police. It's complicated. Complicated means you didn't. A pause. Where are you? I can't tell you that. Can't or won't. Can't. It's safer if you don't know. Safer for who? For you, I thought, because if Marcus was willing to burn down a building to get to me, he wouldn't hesitate to use my best friend as leverage. I'll be in touch, I said instead. I promise. But right now, I need you to trust me. I hate this. I know. I hate him. Yeah, me too. After we hung up, I sat there holding the expensive phone, looking around at the expensive room, feeling the weight of the choice I'd made settling over me like expensive silk. A knock at the door pulled me out of the spiral. Riker stood on the threshold, changed from his suit into dark jeans and a shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. It should have made him look casual. Instead, it just highlighted the lean muscle of his forearms and made me suddenly aware that I was alone with a man I'd known for exactly 3 hours. Settling in? He asked. Your housekeeper is very efficient. Teresa runs the household. She's also trained in executive protection and holds a black belt in 3 different disciplines. He said it like he was describing her cooking skills. She'll be here most days. If you need anything, ask her. Protection training, of course. Everyone who works for me has multiple skill sets. It's useful. He stepped into the guest house, and the space somehow felt smaller. I need to brief you on the security systems. And the rules. Rules. Guidelines, if you prefer. He moved to the windows, checking the locks with the automatic efficiency of someone who did security sweeps in his sleep. The property's monitored. Cameras on all entrances, motion sensors on the perimeter. You're safe here, but you don't leave without notifying me or Teresa first. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. There's a difference. He turned from the window. Marcus knows your habits, your routines, where you get coffee, which subway stop you use, what time you go running. All of that has to change. I don't run. You did. 3 times a week, the park near your apartment, early morning. His eyes held mine. Not anymore. The fact that he knew that should have been the final straw, should have sent me running, back out into the city to take my chances with Marcus and witness protection, and starting over somewhere Marcus couldn't find me. Instead, I just felt tired. What else? I asked. The office is set up for your work. You'll have access to all my financial records, the legal ones and the ones that need to become legal. Start with the real estate holdings. Identify problem areas. Recommend restructuring. Just like that. You're trusting me with everything. I'm trusting you with the information you need to do your job. Everything else stays compartmentalized. He pulled a folder from inside his jacket and set it on the coffee table. Your contract. Teresa witnessed it. Your lawyer, Janet Kowalski, I believe, has a copy and is available to discuss it whenever you want. I picked up the folder. Thick paper, professional binding, every clause spelled out in clear language. 6 months. Salary that made my accountant brain stutter. Housing, security, resources, and at the end, a severance package that would fund my bakery 3 times over. This is real, I said. I don't make offers I don't intend to honor. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman. Criminals break laws for profit. I break laws because the laws are in my way. He moved toward the door, then paused. You should eat something. Teresa left food, and get some sleep. We start work tomorrow at 8. Riker. He turned back. Why did you really help me? In the elevator. You could have let Marcus grab me. Could have eliminated the witness who found your money laundering operation. Why didn't you? For the first time since I'd met him, something shifted in his expression. Not much. Just enough to make me think there was a person under all that control. Because you reminded me of someone, he said finally. Someone who didn't deserve what happened to them. And because I'm tired of people treating good people like they're disposable. He left before I could ask who. Before I could ask anything else. I sat in the guest house with my contract and my borrowed life and tried to figure out if I'd been saved or if I'd just traded one kind of danger for another. 3 weeks into working for Riker Valdez, I'd learned several things. 1. His real estate empire was vast enough to make my spreadsheets cry. 2. About 30% of his holdings had concerning paper trails that screamed money laundering. 3. He took his coffee black, hated interruptions before 9 a.m., and had a scar on his left hand that he touched when he was thinking. And 4. I was developing opinions about the way he rolled up his sleeves during our evening work sessions that had nothing to do with financial forensics. The Miami properties, I said, pointing to the screen in his study where we'd been working for the past 2 hours. These 3 luxury condos, the purchase prices don't match market value. You overpaid by at least 40%. Riker leaned over my shoulder to look at the data. He smelled like sandalwood and something else. Maybe just expensive soap. Maybe just him. I'd stopped noticing it after the first week. Started noticing it again this week. Those were emotional purchases, he said. Emotions don't belong in real estate. Tell that to my cousin who needed somewhere to park $15 million in 6 hours. I turned in my chair to look at him. Park it. Marco was having difficulties with some business associates in Chicago. The money needed to disappear quickly. Real estate's an excellent vehicle for that. It's also an excellent way to get audited by the IRS, which is why I hired you. He straightened, moving back to his desk. So, fix it. Make those properties look like legitimate investments. I'd been doing this for 3 weeks, taking his messy empire and cleaning it up, transaction by transaction, holding by holding. It was like doing the world's most expensive jigsaw puzzle, except some of the pieces were on fire and others were technically felonies. I loved it. Which probably said something concerning about my moral compass. There's an event Saturday, Riker said, shifting topics without warning. The way he always did, like his brain moved too fast for linear conversation. Charity gala. I need you there. My fingers froze on the keyboard. Why? Because several of my business associates will be there, including the ones who need to see that I'm serious about going legitimate. He picked up his coffee, found it empty, and set it down with visible disappointment. You're my financial consultant. It makes sense for you to attend. I'm your money launderer who happens to have a degree. You're my chief financial architect who happens to be brilliant. His eyes met mine, and there was something in them I couldn't quite read. And you need to be seen. Publicly. As part of my operation. So Marcus knows I'm under your protection. So everyone knows. I save my work and close the laptop. I don't have anything to wear to a charity gala. Teresa will handle it. Of course she will. I stood, stretching muscles that had been too still for too long. Is there anything Teresa can't handle? She's terrible at baking. Riker stood too, and the study suddenly felt smaller. Which is why I've been meaning to ask. The kitchen in the guest house. You've been using it. Heat crept up my neck. I'm sorry, I should have asked. I needed something familiar. Something that felt like me. I'm not complaining. I'm asking if you'll make extra. I blinked. You want me to bake for you? Teresa mentioned you made croissants yesterday. Real ones, not the frozen kind. And that the house smelled like a French bakery. Something that might have been amusement flickered across his face. She's been dropping hints all day. She could have just asked. Teresa doesn't ask. She manages. He moved toward the door, then paused. Make whatever you want. Consider it part of your compensation package. Access to a professional kitchen and someone to appreciate the results. After he left, I stood in his study, surrounded by expensive furniture and financial records documenting crimes I was systematically erasing, and felt something dangerous bloom in my chest. This was temporary. 6 months. Then I'd be gone. Starting my own bakery, my own life, far away from Riker Valdez and his gray area empire. I needed to remember that. Saturday arrived with Teresa and a garment bag that probably cost more than my old car. The dress was deep emerald. My color, because of course Riker had noticed, with a neckline that was elegant without being revealing and a hem that hit just above my knees. Classic. Professional. Expensive enough to blend in at a charity gala without screaming nouveau riche. Mr. Valdez has excellent taste, Teresa said, helping me with the zipper. Mr. Valdez has excellent researchers who know my size and color preferences. That too. She stepped back, assessing. You'll need jewelry and different shoes. An hour later, I looked like someone who belonged in Riker's world. Hair swept up, makeup subtle but polished. Diamond earrings that Teresa swore were just costume pieces, but caught the light like they were very much not. Riker was waiting in the main house, and when I walked in, he stopped mid-conversation with someone on his phone. I'll call you back, he said, not taking his eyes off me. The person on the other end said something. I don't care if the building's on fire. I'll call you back. He hung up. You clean up well, I said, because he did. Black suit, crisp white shirt, the kind of tailoring that made him look like he was cut from shadows and expensive fabric. So do you. His voice had gone quiet. You look professional, dangerous. Before I could figure out what that meant, his driver appeared, and we were being escorted to a car that was probably worth more than my bakery dreams. The gala was everything I'd expected, and nothing I was prepared for. Crystal chandeliers, champagne that tasted like bottled starlight, people whose net worth had more zeros than my brain could process, and all of them watching Riker, more specifically, watching Riker with me. Smile, he murmured, his hand settling at the small of my back. You're supposed to look like you want to be here. I'm supposed to look like I belong here. There's a difference. You do belong here. His thumb traced a small circle against my spine, the touch so subtle I almost thought I'd imagined it. Trust me. I was trying to form a response when a woman appeared in front of us, tall, stunning, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Teresa's annual salary. Riker, how unexpected. Her smile was sharp. And who's this? Katarina. This is Celeste Romano, my financial consultant. His hand stayed on my back. Steady, claiming. Celeste. Katarina Volkov. She runs operations for the Volkov family. I'd heard of the Volkovs. Everyone in Riker's world had heard of the Volkovs. They made his operation look like a lemonade stand. Financial consultant. Katarina's eyes traveled over me, assessing, dismissing. How Practical. Though I'm surprised you're outsourcing, Riker. Usually you keep everything in-house. Ms. Romano has unique expertise. I'm sure she does. The smile stayed, but something cold flickered in Katarina's eyes. How long have you been consulting? 3 weeks, I said. 3 weeks. What a whirlwind. She touched Riker's arm, the gesture casual and possessive. We should have dinner soon. Discuss the Chicago situation. I have some thoughts about Marco's difficulties. I'll have my assistant call yours. Do. Katarina's attention flicked back to me. Lovely to meet you, Celeste. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other. She drifted away, leaving a wake of expensive perfume and implied threats. She hates me, I said. She hates that I brought you here. Riker's hand pressed slightly against my back, guiding me toward the bar. It means you're important. Or it means I'm a target. Both. We got drinks, champagne for appearances, though I noticed Riker barely touched his. The evening blurred into a series of introductions, careful conversations, and the growing awareness that every person in this room was evaluating me, calculating my worth in Riker's world. It should have terrified me. Instead, I found myself cataloging them right back. Their tells, their weaknesses, the ones who were genuinely powerful and the ones who just wanted everyone to think they were. You're enjoying this, Riker said quietly during a lull. I'm analyzing this. There's a difference. Is there? His eyes held mine. You're in your element, Celeste, seeing patterns, reading people. This is what you do, just with better clothes and worse company. Before I could respond, the crowd shifted, and we were swept into another conversation, another performance. Hours later, we ended up on a terrace overlooking the city. The party continued inside, but out here it was quiet, cool air and distant lights, and the sound of Riker breathing beside me. Thank you, I said, for tonight, for making me feel like I belonged. You did belong. I'm a forensic accountant from Queens who bakes croissants in her spare time. These people deal in millions before breakfast. These people deal in appearances and fear. You deal in truth. He turned to face me, and the city lights reflected in his eyes. That's more valuable than money. You don't really believe that. I lost someone. The words came out quiet, unexpected. My sister, Elena, she was 19, beautiful, smart, wanted to be a teacher. I went still. She got involved with someone in the life, one of my competitors. He said he loved her. Riker's jaw tightened. He used her to get to me. And when that didn't work, he killed her, made it look like an accident. Riker, I tell you this because you need to understand something. He stepped closer, and my breath caught. I don't protect people because I'm a good person. I protect people because I couldn't protect her, and because I'm tired of watching good people get destroyed by bad ones. I'm not your sister. No, you're not. His hand came up, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. You're stronger than she was, smarter. You know how to survive. His fingers lingered against my jaw. My pulse jumped. What happened to him? I whispered. The man who killed her. Nothing good. We stood there on the terrace, the city glittering below us, the party continuing inside, and something shifted. Something that felt inevitable and terrifying, and like standing on the edge of a cliff I'd been walking toward since that first moment in the elevator. Riker leaned in. His phone rang. The moment shattered. He stepped back, checking the screen, and his expression went cold. We need to go. Now. What? There's been a security breach at the property. Teresa's handling it, but I want you back at the guest house. Fear spiked through me. Marcus? I don't know yet, but I'm not taking chances. The ride home was silent and tense. Riker made 3 calls in clipped tones, coordinating with people whose names I didn't recognize. By the time we pulled up to his property, there were extra security personnel at the gates. Stay with me, Riker said as we got out. I should check the guest house. You should stay with me until I know it's secure. His hand found mine. Not the careful, professional touch from the gala. This was different, tighter, real. We walked into his house together, and I realized with sudden crystalline clarity that I'd stopped thinking of this arrangement as temporary. Somewhere between the spreadsheets and the croissants and tonight's almost kiss, I'd started thinking of this as home. I was in so much trouble. Are you rooting for Celeste in this story? Subscribe if you are. Only people rooting for Marcus won't like to join our family. 3 months. That's how long it took for my carefully maintained boundaries to dissolve completely. 3 months of morning coffee becoming ritual. Him at his desk, me at mine, working in comfortable silence. 3 months of him stealing bites of whatever I was testing in the kitchen, offering opinions on croissant flakiness like he hadn't grown up with personal chefs. 3 months of late-night work sessions that turned into conversations about everything, except the fact that we were dancing around something neither of us would name. I'd stopped sleeping in the guest house 2 weeks ago. Not officially. My clothes were still there, my laptop, all the trappings of temporary residence. But somehow, I always ended up on his couch after work, then watching something on his TV, then falling asleep there because it was late and moving seemed like too much effort. He'd carry me to his guest room. I knew because I'd wake up there, blanket tucked around me, my shoes placed neatly by the door. This morning, I'd woken up in his bed, still clothed, still on top of the covers. But there, in the space that smelled like him, with early light filtering through windows that overlooked the city like he owned it, he wasn't there. Probably already working, because Riker Valdez didn't sleep like normal people. He rested strategically and functioned on determination. I found him in the kitchen, making espresso with the focus he brought to everything. "You have a very comfortable bed," I said. "You snore." "I do not." Softly. It's endearing. He didn't look up from the espresso machine. "You also talk in your sleep. Something about laminated dough and proper folding techniques." Heat crept up my neck. "How long was I?" 3 hours. You fell asleep during the movie. I was going to move you to the guest room, but you looked comfortable." He finally glanced at me, and something in his eyes made my breath catch. "And I liked having you there." The espresso machine hissed, filling the silence with sound that wasn't words we shouldn't say. "This is getting complicated," I said quietly. "It's been complicated since the elevator. That was 3 months ago. I know exactly how long it's been." He poured 2 cups, slid one across the counter to me. 94 days, 1,356 hours, give or take. You counted? I count everything that matters. The espresso was perfect. It always was. Like everything in Riker's world. Controlled, precise, exactly what it needed to be. "We need to talk about the arrangement," I said. "The arrangement ended 6 weeks ago." I set down my cup carefully. "What?" "Your contract was for 6 months. We're past that. I did the math. He was right. Somehow 6 months had passed without me noticing. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because you haven't asked to leave." He moved around the counter, and suddenly he was close. Too close. Not close enough. "And because I don't want you to." "Riker, don't." His hand came up, fingers gentle against my jaw. "Don't tell me this is temporary. Don't tell me you're leaving. Don't give me logical reasons why this doesn't make sense." "It doesn't make sense. The best things never do." He kissed me. Finally. After 3 months of almost moments and careful distance and pretending we didn't feel what we felt. He kissed me, and it wasn't careful or controlled or any of the things Riker Valdez was supposed to be. It was desperate. My hands fisted in his shirt, his arms wrapped around me like I might disappear. We kissed like people who'd been holding back too long, and when we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "This is a terrible idea," I whispered against his mouth. "The worst. I'm supposed to be temporary help. You're permanent. You've been permanent since you trusted me in that." Elevator. I kissed him again because words were too hard, and this made sense in a way nothing else did. We ended up back in his bed, properly this time. His shirt somewhere on the floor, my dress unzipped but not removed because we were taking this slow, making it last. "Stay," he said against my collarbone. "Not as an employee, as what? Mine." The word should have scared me, should have sent me running back to independence and safety, and a life that didn't include crime lords who kissed like they were claiming souls. Instead, it felt like coming home. "Yours," I agreed. I fell asleep in his arms, in his bed, in the life I'd accidentally built while trying to survive. I woke up to gunfire. The first shot shattered the bedroom window. Riker was already moving, rolling us off the bed, his body covering mine as glass rained down. 3 more shots. The sound of splintering wood, shouts from somewhere in the house. "Stay down," Riker ordered, reaching for something under the nightstand. A gun. Of course he had a gun in his bedroom. "What's happening?" "Someone's making a statement." He was on his phone, speaking in rapid tones to someone on security. "How many? Where's Teresa? Everyone out now." More gunfire, closer this time. "We need to move." He grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the bathroom. "There's a panic room, steel reinforced, separate ventilation, communication system. You're going in there." "What about you?" "I'm handling this." "Like hell you are." I yanked my hand free. "If someone's attacking your house, they're attacking both of us. We handle it together." "Celeste." "Together. That's the deal." For half a second, he looked like he wanted to argue. Then something in his expression shifted, became sharp, focused. "Fine. But you follow my lead. Understood?" I nodded. We moved through the house in controlled bursts. Riker leading, checking corners, gun raised in a grip that spoke of training I'd never asked about. We could hear security engaging with the attackers, the sounds of a firefight playing out in his home. "The guest house," I said suddenly. "All my work. If someone wants to hurt you." Already backed up remotely. Triple encrypted. He pulled me behind a wall as more shots echoed. "But you're right. This isn't random." We made it to his study. He went straight to a hidden panel behind one of his bookshelves, revealing a wall of screens I'd never seen before. Security feeds from every angle of the property. "There." He pointed to one screen showing the gate, a familiar figure directing the attackers. "Marcus." My stomach dropped. "He found me. He's been watching. Waiting." Riker's fingers flew across the keyboard. "This isn't about finding you. It's about leverage. He needs something, and he thinks taking you will get it for him." What could he possibly need? Protection. Witness immunity. A way out of whatever hole he's dug himself into. Another screen showed men advancing toward the guest house. "He's going to destroy your work. Make it look like you never cleaned up my operations. Use that as evidence to bargain with the FBI." Everything I'd spent 3 months building, every careful restructure, every legitimate framework, gone? Unless. "The bakery," I said suddenly. "Your Miami properties, the ones you overpaid for." Riker looked at me sharply. "We restructured them last month, remember? Set them up as a franchise development fund for small business loans." My mind was racing, seeing the pattern. If Marcus destroys the records here, he doesn't know about the backups, and he definitely doesn't know we moved the most important files to the offshore servers you set up for the charity foundation. Riker's expression shifted to something like admiration. "You brilliant, paranoid accountant. I learned from watching you." The sounds of fighting were getting closer. Riker made 3 calls in rapid succession, coordinating with his security team with people whose names I recognized from my work. "We need to get you out," he said finally. "Teresa's bringing a car around back. You'll go to the safe house, wait until—" "No. This isn't negotiable." "You're right, it's not." I moved to the computer, pulling up the files Marcus would be looking for. "We're going to give him exactly what he wants. Sort of. Celeste," Trust me. I spent the next 10 minutes creating a perfect forgery. Financial records that look like Riker's empire, complete with incriminating transactions and paper trails that would take investigators months to untangle. All of it believable, none of it real. "You're building him a trap," Riker said, watching over my shoulder. "I'm building him a prison." I hit send, uploading the false files to a server that would leave a perfect digital footprint. When he turns these over to the FBI, they'll see exactly what we want them to see. Evidence of Marcus's embezzlement, his money laundering, his attempts to frame both of us, with timestamps proving he created these files tonight, while actively committing assault with a deadly weapon on my property. With security footage to prove it, I turned to face him. He wanted to eliminate the evidence and eliminate me. Instead, he's gift-wrapping his own arrest. Riker kissed me, hard and quick and full of things we didn't have time to say. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." You couldn't afford my bad side. The gunfire had stopped. Either Riker's security had won, or something worse had happened. Teresa's voice came through his earpiece. "Sir, we have the situation contained, but someone's in the guest house." "Marcus," I said. "He's going for the files." "Let him." Riker's smile was cold. "Let him think he won." We watched on the screens as Marcus searched the guest house, watched him find my laptop, download files, and make a call, presumably to his FBI contact, arranging his immunity deal in exchange for evidence against Riker Valdez. He had no idea he was downloading his own arrest warrant. "FBI's on their way," one of Riker's security team reported through the comms. "Anonymous tip about shots fired." "Perfect timing." Riker's hand found mine. "You ready to watch him fall?" "I've been ready for 6 months." The FBI arrived with enough agents to raid a small country. They found Marcus in the guest house, found the downloaded files, found the evidence of his attack on the property. What they didn't find was anything actionable against Riker. Because 3 months ago, I'd started making his empire legitimate. Every transaction clean, every holding properly structured, every dollar accounted for in ways that would satisfy even the most aggressive audit. The FBI did find evidence of Marcus's crimes, the embezzlement from his clients, the money laundering, the attempted fraud, and, thanks to the falsified files he'd created thinking he was copying mine, proof that he'd been trying to frame both Riker and me to cover his own activities. "You're free to go, Mr. Valdez," the lead agent said hours later, after they'd finished processing the scene. "Though we'll need to ask you some follow-up questions." "Of course, my lawyers will be in touch." Riker was the picture of cooperation. Concerned citizen, victim of a violent crime, nothing at all like a man who'd built an empire on gray areas and careful lines. "Ms. Romano," the agent turned to me. "We're going to need your statement as well, about your relationship with Marcus Fitzgerald." I told them everything, about his stalking, his obsession, the way he'd tried to control me. I told them about the fires, now clearly connected to Marcus's attempts to destroy evidence. I gave them a timeline that made me a victim and Marcus a monster. All of it true. All of it carefully curated to ensure Marcus would spend the next decade in federal prison. When they finally left, dawn was breaking over the city. The property looked like a war zone. Broken windows, bullet holes, security teams still cleaning up. "I need to call Nina," I said, exhaustion hitting me all at once. "She's going to see this on the news and panic." "Call her from inside." Riker's arm settled around my shoulders. "And then we're both sleeping for 12 hours. Your house is full of holes. I have other houses." "Of course you do." We made it back to the main residence, less damaged than the guest house, though still looking like it had hosted a small battle. Teresa met us at the door with coffee and the kind of maternal concern that made my chest ache. "You're both alive," she said. "That's what matters." "The guest house?" I asked. "Damaged but fixable. Your important things were already in the main house anyway." She gave me a knowing look. "Since you've been sleeping here for weeks, Heat crept up my neck. I was going to mention that. No need. I've been preparing the master suite accordingly. She handed me the coffee. Welcome home, Miss Romano. After she left, I stood in Riker's foyer holding coffee and trying to process the fact that I'd just been through a firefight and come out the other side. Come here, Riker said quietly. I went. Let him pull me against his chest, let myself feel the safety of his arms around me, let the adrenaline finally drain away. I can't lose you, he said into my hair. I know we agreed this was temporary. I know you have plans, but Celeste, I can't. Then stop treating this like it has an expiration date. I pulled back enough to look at him. I haven't thought of this as temporary in months. I've just been too scared to admit it. Scared of what? Wanting something this much, needing someone this much. I traced the scar on his hand, the one he touched when he was thinking. I spent 18 months with Marcus learning that needing someone meant losing yourself. And then I met you. And you taught me that needing someone can mean finding yourself, if it's the right person. I kissed him, soft and sure. You're the right person. That's the exhaustion talking. That's the truth talking. I love you, Riker Valdez, even though you're bossy and overprotective and run a business empire built on questionable decisions. Formerly questionable, you fixed that. I fixed the legal structure. I can't fix your personality. He kissed me until I forgot what we were arguing about, until the exhaustion and fear and relief all blended into something that felt like coming home. I love you too, he said against my mouth. Even though you're stubborn and reckless and bake croissants at 3 a.m. That was one time. It was 4 times. You were counting. I count everything that matters. We made it upstairs, fell into his bed, our bed, and slept through the day and into the night, wrapped around each other like people who'd nearly lost something precious. When I woke up, evening light was slanting through the repaired windows. Riker was still asleep beside me, looking younger without the careful control he always wore. I got up carefully, not wanting to wake him, and padded down to the kitchen. Found Teresa had left ingredients for my favorite bread recipe. Graham's recipe, the one I'd been perfecting for years. I was up to my elbows in dough when strong arms wrapped around me from behind. You're supposed to be sleeping, I said. I woke up alone. Didn't like it. Riker's chin rested on my shoulder. What are you making? My grandmother's bread. She always said you could tell if something was worth keeping based on whether it rose properly. Metaphor? Everything's a metaphor if you're looking for one. I leaned back against him. I've been thinking. Dangerous. About my bakery, the one I've been planning. His arms tightened slightly. You're leaving. No, I'm asking if you want to be a silent partner. He turned me around, not caring about the flour now dusting his shirt. Explain. You have properties sitting empty. I have a business plan and no capital. We have 3 months of financial records proving your money's completely legitimate now. I met his eyes. We could do this. Actually do this. A real bakery. A real business. Built on something that isn't fake or temporary or designed to be a cover story. You want to build something real. I want to build something real with you. So the arrangement becomes a partnership. The arrangement became a partnership the moment I trusted you in that elevator. I kissed him, tasting the smile on his lips. This just makes it official. I'll need to review your business plan. It's 30 pages and includes projected growth over 5 years. Of course it does. He pulled me closer, and I felt him smile against my hair. You terrify me, Celeste Romano. Good. Someone needs to keep you in line. Is that what you're doing? Among other things. We stood there in his kitchen, our kitchen, while bread dough rose and the city glittered beyond the windows, and something that had started as survival became the foundation for everything I'd ever wanted. 18 months later. The line outside Aurora's Sweet Haven stretched around the block. I watched it from the window of my office, the one above the bakery, in the building Riker had renovated specifically for this. My name over the door. My grandmother's dream. Finally real. "You're going to need to hire more staff," Riker said from the doorway. He was in his suit, fresh from a meeting with investors for his legitimate real estate development firm, the one that now focused on creating spaces for small businesses like mine. "I know. Teresa sent me 3 recommendations this morning. She's trying to organize your life. She's good at it." I turned away from the window, caught sight of the ring on my left hand. Simple, elegant, exactly right. "Are we still on for dinner tonight? Unless you're planning to work until midnight again." "That was one time. It was last week. Details." He crossed the office, pulled me into his arms, kissed me like we had all the time in the world. Maybe we did. Maybe that's what happened when you stopped running and started choosing. When you found someone who saw you, really saw you, and decided you were worth keeping. "I love you," I said against his mouth. "I know. You tell me every time you make croissants." "That's only twice a week." "Exactly." Down in the bakery, someone called my name. A customer wanting to compliment the bread that tasted like my childhood, like my grandmother's kitchen, like everything I'd thought I'd lost when my old life burned down. "I need to get back downstairs," I said. "I know." But he didn't let go. Tonight, though, just us. Just us. I kissed him one more time, then headed downstairs to the life I'd built. The one that started in an elevator with a dangerous man and a desperate choice. The one that taught me the difference between safety and control, between protection and possession. The one that showed me that sometimes the best things in life come from the places you're running toward, not the ones you're running from. I stepped behind the counter, greeted customers, boxed up pastries, and felt the weight of my grandmother's recipe box on the shelf behind me. Salvaged from the ruins, carried through chaos, and finally home. This was worth keeping. All of it. And it had risen perfectly,